telefoon hebben en dan zeggen dat hij de wereld aan
as fast as the digital router.
Sorry,
There are
sir.
many
Please
excuses.
stop.
Excuse me?
Could you stop photographing?
Unfortunately, we're in public property. Are you guys all attendees of the Bilderberg meeting?
These are all excuses. If you look at a modern router,
I'm sorry, do you speak English?
it requires specialized chips, specialized software, TCP antenna, and it's incredibly complex.
Does anyone here have any comment on the controversy regarding the Bilderbergers?
You're not going to be doing any interviews, gentlemen?
Oh, I understand that, but
So why don't you not talk to us and just take our picture?
okay. Well, now might be an opportunity to say something if you actually.
Talking to you, so you could stop talking to us.
Well, I certainly won't be rude to you, sir.
Okay, well, I won't be rude to you either by not talking to you. You got some that costs.
Well, a lot of people disbelieve this incredible.
More complaints of absurd pat-downs by the TSA. This time the air traveler isn't a kid, but an elderly woman who was forced to remove her adult diaper. A Florida woman says security agents asked her 95-year-old mother, who is in a wheelchair, to remove her diaper so they could complete a full search. It happened at the Northwest Florida Regional Airport last weekend. Jean Weber says her mother was detained for 45 minutes. The pair were heading to Michigan so Weber's mother could be with family during the final stages of her battle with leukemia.
They said they felt something suspicious on her leg and they couldn't determine what it was, so they took her into a closed room that was private, and I was left outside, and they came out and told me that it had something to do with her depends, that it was wet and it was firm and they couldn't check it thoroughly. She would have to remove it. And I said, I don't have an extra one with me. Normally this isn't a problem. And she said that she could not complete the security check without the depends off.
Okay, so here's the TSA's response. Quote, while every person and item must be screened before entering the secure boarding area, TSA works with passengers to resolve security alarms in a respectful and sensitive manner. We have reviewed the circumstances involving the screening and determined that our officers acted professionally and according to proper procedure.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Monday, June 27th, 2011, and I'm Darko. This is part 3, the final part for today. Thank you for joining me. My website is www.ggnonline.com. That's ggnonline.com, and my YouTube channel is ddarko2012. We're going to start off here with this immigration law in Georgia, because I have another article to follow with. Judge blocks parts of Georgia immigration law. Federal judge on Monday blocked parts of Georgia's law cracking down on illegal immigration from taking effect until a legal challenge is resolved. And it said that it want to block parts of the law that penalize people who knowingly and willingly transport or harbor illegal immigrants while committing another crime. Said he also blocked provisions that authorize the officers to verify the immigration status of someone who can provide proper identification. Me personally, like I said, it's an imaginary line, and I just traveled over the border the other day, not to the country, but to a state, and all of a sudden I lose my rights to defend myself. I mean, think about it. It's an imaginary line, and let's say we're in prehistoric times or just old times, and maybe we're living in the Amazon rainforest like that group you just learned about recently, undiscovered or uncontacted. They have spears. When they leave to go shop, like we go to leave and shop, we're hunting. We have the right to carry our spear with us. We don't lose it because we cross some imaginary line in the forest. That's BS. I mean, you can just, when you think about it like that, when you break it down, you see how ridiculous this whole thing really is. And what's even more ridiculous is that we have these lines like this that basically homogenize people. They're basically different corporations or farms for the slaves. That's what each country is. It's a corporation, and certain corporations or countries, they don't like competition with other companies and corporations of slaves. That was just in South Park the other day. You saw, or not the other day, but the recent video. So I basically, what I'm saying here is that I don't support borders, but that's only because I don't support a government, and at least I promote a stateless society. How about that? And so without a stateless society, you wouldn't have borders and you wouldn't have these problems. But if you do have a nation, now this is my disclaimer, if you do have a nation and you got a bunch of slaves that support being slaves and they're slave owners, well then, hey, you might want to have borders up to at least protect whatever little bit of rights you have as a slave in your little farm, okay? That's pretty much what I want to say. Georgia program tries to replace migrant workers with ex-convicts. So see, maybe this is the plan. Maybe they are not the plan, but maybe this is the fail-safe plan in case, this bill goes through and then all these migrant workers, who I have nothing against these people. These are people that are willing to work for less and can get away with it, because most people that are citizens in this country, if they try to work below the minimum wage or negotiate their wage, well, that's illegal. The person who employs them would get arrested, whatever, lose their business. The person that did it, that was a worker, would get arrested. And these people, for some reason, everybody says, well, those are jobs that Americans don't want. Well, no, there are Americans that want those jobs. Unfortunately, they can't do what they're doing, quote, illegally. So, again, you can just see the craziness of this whole thing. And so they're going to, once these migrant workers leave because of this bill that they're going to pass, they're going to hire ex-convicts. So check that out. Another step closer to a one world religion, 50 U.S. churches to read from the Quran on Sunday. Go check that out. Got plenty of news to cover still. Austrians do not trust the church. And there's our Hitler Youth Pope. The majority of people in Austria do not trust the Roman Catholic Church due to the abuse scandals involving pedophile priests. A recent opinion poll has shown. And then look at this. Pope may go online to launch Vatican news portal. Well, okay, he's got to bolster support because people are losing support. Unfortunately, they're losing support in God. And, you can promote a stateless society or be a stateless society advocate and not believe in a God, and that's cool. I respect you, because you're an empiricist. Me, honestly, personally, I believe in a God. I believe in an afterlife. And I think it's unfortunate that all this is happening with religion, especially the Catholic Church and stuff like that, because people are losing their faith, and they really shouldn't be, especially at this time, this part of the game, so to speak. Driver who ran over a homeless man gets 2 years. Says an Ottawa man convicted of running over a homeless man with his car and then driving off has been sentenced to 2 years, less a day. So, British Airlines pilot threw mobile phone from aircraft cockpit window just moments before takeoff. You can read more on that. Are you hardwired for city living? And it's true. It says city dwellers suffer more stress. A study found last week because, well, my personal theory is because we're not supposed. I don't think we're designed to live so close to each other. So many people, so smashed up. Again, use that word homogenized because that's what we are. We're living in these little prisons, what they are. These houses in suburban areas and cities, they're prisons, and the police are the prison guards. And unfortunately, most people just stay in their prisons, in their cells, prison cells, right? And it says here, because their brains are wired differently, the result is while country residents are better off or better at regulating tension, city folks are more prone to a range of anxiety disorder. And of course, I mentioned this before. Alan Watts talked about this. The ultimate plan of the elites, these globalists, is to get all of those rural people, those country people, off their lands, and basically move them into these cities. And they can do that. They've done it before. They basically do things with the markets and commodities of that, and so people lose their farms. And before, farms are actually handed over generation to generation, and like in India, they're just going and taking them and kicking them off the land. Whereas here in America, most farmers don't even own the actual land. They pay taxes, which means that they don't own it. That's the state's land. As a slave, as a farmer who does not have a allodial title, you're basically at the will of the state and this fascist rigged economy. So eventually you will get kicked off, and the elites will buy all that land on the cheap, or they'll take it over in the name of environmentalism, right? They'll claim it as a safe haven, and then they'll buy the lands for themselves and have nice organic cows on it and organic food, and then they'll put big barbed wire fences around it with drones flying over it to protect it. when the slaves are getting sick from all the GMO food and all the crap that they're being forced to eat. It seriously will. I think it'll be like that. You know, and like, what is it, Demolition Man, where the people are living underground? You know, unfortunately, they're eating Taco Bell above ground, but I think it's kind of symbolic too. Working more than 40 hours per week increases burnout risk. That's why, you know, like my uncle saying, you know, oh, those Greeks, they want to retire when they're 60. Well, that's because they could have before, but now they were, like I said, they were raped financially by banks. All part of a plan, and the part of a plan was not to steal money because they have all the money that they need. It was to bring on austerity measures. That was the point of the whole thing, was the austerity measures, just like what we're all going through in England and the United States and elsewhere. So, and the goal is to work longer and harder till you're drop dead. I'm sorry, but that's just the god-awful truth. TV at night tied to poor preschoolers' sleep, and more parents just plop their kids in front of the TV now, and it's kind of hard to watch. So we have FDA sue to halt antibiotics in animal feed. Then Chinese man dies after being exposed to industrial version of common meat additive. And we have here, that's a little map there, go check it out. Coming soon, the test tube burger, lab-grown meat needed to feed the world. And why? Well, because it's all artificial scarcity, and people aren't wanting, well, actually, let me say this, and there's an artificial overpopulation myth, I guess you can say. So we always got to say, oh, there's not enough resources, not enough food. Well, no, there is enough food. There is enough resources. We're just not living the right way. We're not living naturally. We're not living further apart. We're not free. That's why there's these problems. China establishes a national lab for super grain, i.e. GMO grain. FDA officially declares the sun unsafe and urges public to lather on toxic sunscreen on skin. That's right, you can get rickets from that, like that girl in the UK from that stuff. Stay away from that sunscreen. The sun's good, it gives you vitamin D, just in moderation, obviously. Genetic modification gone wild, 10 signs that our world may be destined to resemble a really bad science movie. And sci-fi movie, you can check that out. Mutated scarlet fever fuels Hong Kong outbreak, then E. coli death toll up to at least 47. And look at this, straight from UNICEF. They basically vaccinated hundreds of thousands of kids in the Philippines, and now look at this, it didn't help. Children in the Philippines face a disease outbreak. I just covered that in Pakistan, basically the same situation. They went in there vaccinated after they sprayed, and on came the floods in Pakistan, and then came the vaccines. Bloomberg has a campaign to attract gay couples and cash in on legal gay marriage law. It says here, PC preschool bans the word him and her. So talk about the hermaphroditic agenda here. That's what you have, making girls more like guys and guys more like girls. Planned Parenthood takes on the states. That's right, as the states are getting more bankrupt, they're cutting Planned Parenthood and abortions. 350 million suffer from diabetes worldwide, and there's a vaccine for that. It may reverse type 1 diabetes. And it says here, wait time to see Canadian doctors grows, and doctors refusing to treat overweight patients. And now I saw this on YouTube, and then it appeared in a mainstream article. Ghost City appears above the Zing River, and it's pretty crazy. Scientists say it's a great mirage. Residents thinks it's a vortex. So, and you go down there, and you kind of check it out there. But basically, what do I think it is? There's a good chance that it's a Project Bluebeam.
In fact, these images are just an elaborate optical illusion. The amazing mirage appeared over Huangshan City in East China at dusk on Thursday. Following a heavy downpour, the spectacular images of mountains, buildings and trees appeared in the thin mist above the Shinan River.
That is pretty creepy stuff, though, guys. But remember, it's going to be what? Allah, Jesus, aliens invading. That's what this is really going to be used for. They're just testing it on the public. They're always testing on the public. It says here, wrongly pronounced dead woman dies of shock at her own funeral. When the 49-year-old Russian woman opened her eyes in her casket, she could hear mourners around praying for her soul to ascend to heaven. Then it said allegedly began to scream as she realized what was. Then 12 minutes later, she's going to the hospital. She basically had another heart attack and died. That's all I have, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is GGN on Darko.